So I'm finally doing it. I'm finally doing the one thing I wanted to do with this channel since I started it. I'm making a game review. What game should I review then? Maybe Five Nights at Freddy's, since it's how I got my start. Maybe Godzilla, because for some reason my dumb Godzilla video got really popular. Maybe I should review my favorite game series, Metal Gear. No, let's do Sonic. I don't really talk about Sonic at all on this channel. I've been a huge fan of the series for like 8 years. My introduction to the series was Sonic Generations, 3DS. Sure was the first Sonic game. But anyways, I've since played a ton of the other games. Sonic 3 is my favorite, but something I've kind of noticed looking at the series is never really figured out how to make a decent racing spin-off. There were the Sonic Drift games on the Game Gear, which are a thing. There's also the Sega and Sonic racing games from the 2010s, which they just look extremely boring. But then there's the racing series from the 2000s, the Sonic Riders series. Let me just say, the original Sonic Riders from 2006 is one of the best racing games I've ever played. Why don't you listen to this random kid explain why he likes it instead of listening to actual reviewers? So how did a game like this come to be? Well, in 2003, Visionscape, which I guess we're helping with the CGI cutscenes for Sonic Heroes, made a small little tech demo called Sonic Extreme. No, not that one. That one. It was basically just Sonic and Shadow riding on skateboards or hoverboards, collecting rings and doing tricks. A lot closer to something like Tony Hawk than what Riders eventually became. I'm gonna be honest, it looked pretty boring and generic. A normal skateboarding game with Sonic and Shadow models in it. But anyways, a few years later, Sega decided, that Sonic hoverboards tech demo seems neato. Let's just yoink that idea. And thus they started developing Sonic Riders, and in 2006 it came out. Probably one of the best Sonic things to come from that year besides Silver the Hedgehog and Ian Flynn starting his run on Archie. So, what's the gameplay of Sonic Riders like? Well, the game's like if you turn Tony Hawk into a racing game. Skip the Tony Hawk influence. You race across tracks, keep your air meter up by doing tricks. If you don't, you're stuck running on the ground, which sucks. And try to get first place. Pretty unique as opposed to something like Mario Kart or one of the Crash racing games. There are 3 character types. There's my favorite, Speed, which lets you grind on rails. Fly, which lets you fly through hoops. Power, which can knock out obstacles. And basically all of these are just user-activated shortcuts, which, like a shortcut does, lets you get farther in a race. Now, it may seem easy to understand, then you actually play it and realize, oh, this game is hard. This game pulls no punches and barely tutorializes itself. There's a small optional tutorial video hidden in the extras menu, but it doesn't fully explain everything. It doesn't let the players get a feel for the controls themselves. Now, while the game is frustrating to figure out, once you do, it's really, really fun. Pulling off tricks, boosting, taking shortcuts, and attacking the other players also really fun to do. And it's kind of like the mainline Sonic games where you need to figure out how it works, and then the real fun begins. Like I still should have tutorialized it better though. So what about the other aspects of the game? Well, the graphics are nice, I guess. They're colorful and vibrant enough. Kind of reminds me of Sonic Heroes, and I like the way that game looks. I really like the cartoonish proportions they went with this one. It just looks really nice, makes the game stand out. The music is great because it's Sonic. Shout out to Speed Racers and Catch Me If You Can. They are certified bangers. Go listen to them. The story is fun and entertaining too. Basically, Eggman is holding this whole World Grand Prix with hoverboards called Extreme Gear. All you need to enter is a Chaos Emerald. That's not suspicious at all. Since it's like a race, of course Sonic enters in, and he contends with his gang called the Babylon Rogues. Their leader, Jet the Hawk, basically cheating to win against Sonic in the final race, and eventually it's revealed that Eggman was plotting to use the emeralds for evil. Nah! He gets Jet to dig up Babylon Garden, which is where the Babylon Rogues came from, and he tries to steal the treasure only for Sonic to stop him. It's nice and has some fun cutscenes, with Jet being a really good rival because he's just like the worst and constantly bullies Sonic. It makes you really want to get back at him, And so it's really satisfying when you like beat him in the final race. There's also the Babylon story, where you learn that the Babylon rogues are all just kind of stupid. It's hilarious. I'm gonna be honest, this whole story is actually really funny. Anyways, the Babylon story wraps off by having a last story segment where everyone awakens a genie that looks really weird, just makes this weird noise. And you basically like do this really, really bad, easy boss fight where all you do is ram into a bottle a few times. Really testing your player's skill, aren't you, Sega? You know, making them press. After that, it's revealed that the treasure Eggman was looking for is a rug. He passes out after realizing all the stuff that he did for a rug. And then Sonic and friends realize it's a magic carpet, which you then unlock the race with, and that's actually like kind of amazing. The story's not too complicated. It doesn't take itself too seriously, like Sonic 06, while also not being like any meta-era game where basically they were like, oh, it needs to be funny, so it needs to be obnoxious. Insert baldy nose hair clip here. There's just one problem. The English voice acting and the translation.
Not just a race, but a special race to see who's the fastest.
I like the 4Kids cast for Sonic, but their performances in this game, besides Mike Pollock, there.
That's cool! Sonic!
Aw, like, that just sounds like Sonic going through puberty.
That's when I took over things for my father.
I can look past it, though, because it doesn't make the story less entertaining. The cutscenes are very action-y, and opening, it's really good, and it makes me want another 2D animated Sonic show. There's also the character roster, which, it's alright. Yeah, main story characters like Sonic and Tails, you unlock Eggman on a moped eventually. And, you can also play as Shadow and Rouge, and a few Sega guest stars like I and Ulala. But there's no Metal Sonic. So, 0 out of 10 lack of cool robot aside. Good character roster, and plus, you know, Eggman on a moped is hilarious. There's also Super Sonic, and he sucks. He runs on rigs instead of air, which means that the whole gameplay system of doing tricks is, like, pointless, and you just constantly run out of air, or rings. It's not good. They should have made it so that, like, whenever you do a trick, you get rings. That would have made sense. But overall, the game's fun. It's got a satisfying gameplay loop and fun presentation. It's just not very accessible, and it's extremely short. If you can find a cheap copy, get it. The game was on Windows, GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. I'd say emulate the GameCube version for the best experience, which is what I did. Windows and Xbox versions are apparently a little buggy, like the Windows one has an eye glitch and the Xbox one is bumpy. And the PS2 version, which I emulated, I mean, just look at it. It's very, very low quality, but it's got a charm, I guess. So yeah, the game is great, and I really wish there was a sequel. A good sequel. So, what y'all think of the reviews? My first shot at it. Tell me what I could improve on, and don't be a bully, okay? I hope to do more of these. Maybe one of the Smurbians, Transformers, Godzilla, maybe Half-Life. Anyways, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, you know. If you don't subscribe, I'll hunt down your family or something, I don't know. Bye-bye.